Welcome to the Mr. Universe Meets podcast, in association with the Mansformation Programme, Gold Standard Nutrition and CMP, 3 brands at the top of their game. My Mansformation Programme is growing every year and helping more and more busy men to take control of their fitness, their physique and their energy levels, so they can show up each day as the best version of themselves. I'm only ever going to work with brands that I genuinely believe in, and now Mr. Universe Meets is supported by 2 brands I've believed in, used and stocked in my gym for years. Gold Standard Nutrition is a company I've worked with for over 10 years. And if you're a gym owner that wants to add extra revenue to your business while providing customers with a better service and top quality products, then you need to speak to Gold Standard Nutrition. I'm also really excited to have CMP on board with the podcast now. I've used CMP products since day one. I've used them right through my competitive bodybuilding career and I still use them to this day. On this podcast, we're going to speak to peak performers who have reached the very top of their field. We're going to look at their mindset, habits and routines that have made them elite. And I want you to take advantage of the lessons they teach so you can go and achieve your own goals faster. I would love it if you could like, share and subscribe and enjoy the podcast. All right, Mr. Universe Meets, Ricky Moore.
Good afternoon, Stuart.
How are you doing, man? You all right?
I'm fine, mate. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So, Ricky Moore, bodybuilder, powerlifter, exclusive PT and coach, gym owner, jack of all trades. You're doing a lot of stuff, mate. Thanks a lot for coming on, pal. All-around nice guy. I like to think so.
Unless you had a few too many sambucas.
Too many sambucas, then things can change, definitely.
Sambuca Ricky was a bit of a prick sometimes.
It was. That's a conversation for another day.
That's a whole other podcast, isn't it? So, thanks a lot for coming on, mate. Obviously, we've known each other for the best part of 20 years and
20
stuff
years,
like that.
Yeah.
And, like you say, you've got a combination of probably through the bodybuilding scene and the lead scene and that we met each other and that lot. So
we met each other on the party scene back in about 2004 or 5.
Yeah, something like that, mate. Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah. And lives have definitely progressed and evolved since then.
Definitely. I definitely like to think so, yeah.
So let's go back to the start, mate, because obviously, podcast as we do, go back to the start. What's your story, mate? Where did you come from? How did you even end up in the fitness scene?
Good question, Shu. So when I was a kid, I always had a bit of a thing for in the 80s and 90s when we were growing up, you'd watch Arnold movies, Stallone movies, Hulk Hogan and WWF. We all grew up watching the same stuff. So it was a bit of a thing in our sort of era when we were kids. We were sort of all obsessed with muscles. So I had this obsession, just wanted to be big and strong from a very, very young age. And then, I bought some weights in the attic and used to pump the weights when I was a little kid. And then obviously never took it too seriously until I got a little bit older. When I was a teenager, I got booted out of school when I was 14, just for being a little shit, really, you know what I mean? A little shit with a big mouth. Not much has changed, has it, really? So I got booted out of school at 14. I left the family home at 16 because my parents were drug dealers, into a lot of bad stuff. So I fell out with them over that, and it was my decision at 16 to leave the family home. I went to live with my cousin, who lived in a bedsit in Harrells, which is a really bad area of Leeds, if you know. If you know, you know. And we just went off the rails when that happened. So we had about 2 years between 16, 17, and 18, where literally every day would be drinking bottles of cider, out doing petty crimes, nothing too serious, but just shoplifting and, little crimes and stuff like that. Breaking into cars to try and make a little bit of money, taking drugs, just generally just being shitbags and just not very good members of society for a couple of years. Anyway, when I was about 18, my cousin got sent to prison. I ended up moving, and that was kind of the catalyst, really. I ended up then moving in with another friend, and there was something inside of me that says, this is not the life that you want to be doing. Some kids get worse, but there was just something inside of it that says, you've got more to you than this. There should be more to you than just drinking, taking drugs, and just committing crimes, And this little passion I always had for fitness, I started going to Scotland Sports Centre to work out 2 or 3 times a week. And just by chance, after one of my sessions at Scotland Sports Centre, I was stood at the bus stop, and a guy called Ral stopped his car and says, Richard, call me Richard back then, get in the car, I'm going to take you to my gym. Ral took me down to his gym, and he had a bodybuilding gym in Leeds, really well-known bodybuilding gym in Leeds. Went down there, and instantly, once I walked into this bodybuilding gym, I knew this was for me. It felt like home. I was like, this is where I'm meant to be. Not drinking cider, not taking drugs, not committing crimes. I'm meant to be in here in the bodybuilding gym, lifting weights and bettering myself. And Ralph kind of took me under his wing. He gave me a cheap membership. It was like, I think it was 90 quid for the year or something. And I paid him off like a £5 a week. He just wanted me to be in there. So Ral, I owe a lot to Ral. He really took me under his wing and helped me out a lot and guided me in them young years. And I sort of earned my stripes back in Ral's gym in those days. And, getting into the bodybuilding and having a focus, having a drive, being good at something for the first time in my life, because I always had good genetics, I responded pretty quickly. It just gave me some sort of purpose in life. So I found that was the real start of everything in Ral's gym. Yeah.
It could have gone either way then for you, really, couldn't it? It's like you've grown up with parents that are drug dealers, you get into petty crimes and stuff like that. Did having a look at your mum and dad and seeing the path that they went down, did that give you the drive as well to go the other way? Because I mean, it's like my wife Verity, she comes from a terrible family, and she was always driven by the fact that I'm never going to be like them.
Yeah. So exactly like Verity, 100%. That's what that thing inside me was. I thought, if I don't change something now at 18, okay, I'm going to end up like my mum and I'm going to end up like my dad. And that's the last thing that I wanted. These people, all they wanted to do was drink and take drugs and just not, they weren't, doing anything too bad, but just
going nowhere.
They were just going nowhere in life. Yeah. They were just like, just all they cared about was the weekend and drinking and taking drugs. They didn't care about the kids. They didn't care about being successful or anything like that. And I thought, I don't want to be like them in 20, 30 years. So I need to make a change now. Okay, and that's why I got into the gym. And getting into the bodybuilding and getting into training was the catalyst. And that was the turning point in my life. It was either I'm going to go down this road and I'm going to become a real criminal, not just taking drugs and petty crimes, but selling drugs and doing higher level crimes, or I'm going to go this way. I'm going to sort myself out. I'm going to stop taking drugs. I didn't stop drinking, but cut it right down. Okay. And I'm going to start getting into gym and eating healthy, because you start training, all of a sudden you don't want to drink as much alcohol. You want to start eating healthy foods because the two go hand in hand. So it kind of just triggered off a whole domino effect of positivity in my life.
Yeah, brilliant. So you found that passion in bodybuilding and in training, and then you made that passion your profession.
Yeah.
What did you go straight into becoming a PT, or?
So basically, because I was like, this is what I want to do myself. I had no qualifications, obviously, because I got booted out of school at 14. Didn't have one GCSE. And by this time, I'd got off the dole and stopped committing crimes and started to work. So I'd got jobs in like warehouses, minimum wage, and I thought, well, I can't do this for the rest of my life. So what do I want to do? I love training, I love bodybuilding. Let's turn it into a career. So did my level 2 fitness instructor's course in my early 20s. Then I got a job on the doors, which is where I met you many years ago, at Fudge Bar. And when I was at Fudge Bar, I used the money that I earned on the doors to pay for my personal training qualification. So by this time, I'm about 25, 26. And another story, really good story for you here, right? I got my personal training qualification. And I didn't want to quit. I had a day job and worked on the doors, but I didn't want to risk quitting my job. Because me and Jem had bills to pay, and I was like, well, if I quit my job to become a PT and I'm not successful, I'm not going to have any money. So anyway, I had a fight with some guy on the door and he hit me on the head with a bat. You probably remember this, Stu. Split my head open. I had a fractured skull, a bleed on my brain. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. It was really, really serious. And I got £7,000 compensation from that. So that £7,000 gave me a buffer to be able to quit my job and become a PT, because I had a buffer of money so I could have time to build up some clients. So if you're the geezer that smashed me on the head with that baseball bat, right, you have done me a massive favour. Thank you very much, pal.
Isn't it funny how out of a negative can come such a positive?
That was one of the best things that happened to me.
What seems like the worst possible thing at the time is actually the gateway to something, life-changing for you.
If that guy wouldn't hit me on the head with a bat, I'd have never had that £7,000. I might never had the bottle to quit my job, and I might never have been as successful as what I've been.
And you have been successful, mate. And do you think that because, like you said, you made your passion your profession, and you were, you love training.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's the key to being successful? That doing something you're actually passionate about? Because I think there's a lot of people that get into the fitness industry, into becoming a PT, into competing for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast. We could talk about that. But it's one thing I think it's like, you got the people who love it, like me and you, Stu. We always love bodybuilding. You know, we love the job. We love the industry. That's why 15, 20 years later, we're still doing it now and still love it just as much as we did 15, 20 years ago. I think some people, it's like, I don't know what draws it to them, but if they don't have that passion, you can sort of see it. And it's like, they despise it and they do the shows and they're moaning about it and they hate the diet. And it's like, well, what are you doing it for? If you don't like it, go find another hobby.
I always love the process.
Yeah.
I love the process of diet. I love the discipline. I love the structure. I love everything about it. I love the challenging yourself. And I could never it gets hard at times, but it was all my choice. So I could never really understand people that would just bitch and moan about it all the time.
No.
Because it's fantastic. And like you say, when you're not doing it, as you know, like I'm not doing it now, I do miss that sometimes, you know, that discipline of and the structure of the competing. So definitely, mate. Definitely.
There's so many people out there who just, I don't know why they do it if they don't like it. I just still can't fathom it. I think maybe there's something about they're trying to get some attention from it, or there's something missing in their life and they're trying to replace it with this thing here, you know.
Some of it for social media, isn't it? It's it seems to be a show and a front, and you know, I think that you can tell in sometimes the quality of the physiques that it produces. That they're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah, and I think if people like me and Stu, we did it before social media existed, you know, and if you'd have put us on a desert island back in 2010, we'd have still been doing it. You know, that's the thing. If you put me on an island with the weights and the food, I'd still be training and I'd still be eating just because I love the process. I love how it makes me feel. But these kids nowadays, I think a lot of them are doing it purposely, just doing it for social media purposes to get that attention.
If you're a gym owner that has a spare 1 square metre of space available in your reception and you want to use that space to make a few extra £1,000 each year while providing your members with a better service and helping them to get better results, then you need to be speaking to Gold Standard Nutrition. I've sold their products in both of my gyms since the very beginning, and they are still one of the best sources of additional revenue. In fact, that 1 square metre that the freezer sits in is probably the most profitable square metre of the entire gym. If you run your own gym, or you know someone who runs their own gym, it doesn't make sense not to stock their products unless you don't like money or you don't want to provide the best service for your members. All the info you need is in the podcast notes, and there is a link for you to click if you want more information on how you can stock them in your facility now.
Yeah. So obviously you did step into competing. What made you decide to go into the actual competitive side of it?
Well, good question. I'd say what it was. One, I'd always had that thing in me that I loved bodybuilding, okay? And I'd seen you compete and James Braddock compete. We were all in the sort of same circle. And I'm like, maybe one day I should have a little bash at that, you know what I mean? And I think what it was when I started being a PT, 2007, March 2007 it was when I became a full-time PT. I'd say what it was I started being a PT, got a few clients, did all right at the start, but you're sort of finding your way. And I was actually going to Ibiza in August 2007. Me and Gemma booked holiday to Ibiza. And I'd say I was about 7 weeks out from Ibiza, okay, because that was the main diet back in those days, Ibiza. And I was 7 weeks out from Ibiza, and we were going on like the Wednesday, and there was a show on the Sunday before, and I thought, I'm looking pretty good here, right? If I just ramp it up another 10%, I reckon I could make the show. And I thought there was multiple goals here. One, I could win a show, which would be great for business. But probably more importantly, at 27, if I do the show and go to Ibiza 3 days after, I'm going to look fucking awesome in Ibiza as well. So there was multiple reasons for doing the show. So I knuckled down, obviously ramped it up, did the show 2007, won the first timers class, and then went to Ibiza and looked fucking awesome as well. So that was the first show.
What was your most memorable moment in bodybuilding? Because you compete in quite a few shows, aren't you? And obviously right up to international level.
Yeah, I've done loads of shows. The most memorable moment for me competing, right, this is definitely the one, it sticks out a mile. 2012, the NABA Britain. I think you just got third. Did you get third?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yeah, you got third, remember?
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah.
So I won my class, and Stu came third. But
I did win the Worlds 2 weeks later.
You did win the Worlds 2 weeks later, and I got second, so you sort of flipped it around. That was a great few weeks, that wasn't it? It was a really good little period, that. That was probably the best period ever of competing, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 2012, I've won the British title. I can't believe I've won, right? And the biggest memory is looking down in the crowd, Jem and Lewis in the crowd. I've never seen another person when she was so happy. It was like she was happier for me than I was for myself. And it was like, so that's the memory. It was seeing Gem and Lewis, my missus and my best mate in the crowd at the front, so fucking happy for me. And I'm like, wow. I was like, I'm really happy, but I think they're actually happier than me. And it was just that moment of, because it's like you're doing it together. She was with me through all the ups and all the downs. You know, she'd come to the gym and help me on leg day because I had no energy, and she'd come and do the cardio with me. And you know when it gets to that later stage and you're really, really tired and you need that kick up the arse.
You need that support network, and those that are closest to you, be it your training partners, be it your partners. They do go through it with you. Yeah, they do go through it with you, don't they? So it's
all the highs and all the lows.
Exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. Man.
And I think Gem just knew how much it meant to me. You know, so I'm going to tell you a little story actually, Stu. Right. So 10 days before that contest, right, it was the last leg workout, and you know, like the last leg workout before a show is like, you know, it's probably not going to get any harder than this bit. So I'm doing a set of walking lunges, right, with Gem in the studio at Fitness First, right, and I actually started crying in the middle of a set of walking lunges. Just because I was like, I've made it. It's not going to get any harder than this now. I've completed it, right? I'm going to make the show and I'm going to be in great shape. I'm just so happy that I've been able to complete, you know, this journey. And Jem was with me. I just started bursting into tears in the middle of the studio.
Don't you think, though, that bodybuilding is like that? It is about the process, not really about... It's nice to get on stage and get the awards and win the shows and stuff like that. But it's the process of challenging yourself and actually being able to complete the tough task that you put yourself through.
That's why I was so emotional at that moment in time. I'm like, here's this thing at this time, which is the hardest thing I've ever done. Okay, because I'd given 100% this year in 2012. Years before that, when I'd competed, as you probably remember, I'd maybe given 90%, 95%, still had the odd night out and stuff. This 2012, I'd given 100%. I'd not missed 1 gram of food, not missed 1 minute of cardio, not missed 1 rep in training. So I got to this leg workout and I thought, well, if you've completed the last leg workout, that's the hardest bit done. And I was just like over the moon. I've done it. I've done this thing. It's like I'd climbed the mountain and I was at the top at that moment. So that moment was probably more emotional than actually winning 10 days later.
Yeah, brilliant, mate, brilliant. And obviously you did what you did in bodybuilding, and then you moved to powerlifting, or did you do a bit of powerlifting in between?
So I did them both in between, yeah. So did my first powerlifting comp in 2015. It was a push and pull comp. And I won my first comp. Went into that. I'd always been quite strong. So pound for pound, I think it's because I trained at Rouse. And one, I've got genetics for being strong, but training at Rouse, you was always around Andy Bolton and all the power lifters. So you kind of like, strength was such a big element of that gym that you always, even if you were a bodybuilder, you wanted to be strong. It was like, who had the biggest bench, who had the biggest squat. So you kind of get involved in a bit of that. So I think that had been ingrained at me from a very young age.
That's good, though, isn't it? Like you say, the environment's so important to your success. And obviously you were surrounded by people like Andy who were, the best in the world at what they did.
He was the best in the world at the time. Yeah, the best in the world at the time. I think he'd just broken that 1,000-pound world record. So seeing someone do that, it's like, well, I want to be strong. I mean, most importantly, I want to look good and be a bodybuilder. But secondly, I still want to be really strong.
Yeah. You went on to set world records yourself? Yeah,
so I've 2021... came out of retirement number 10. Did the European Championships, and I broke 4 British records. Well, every single one, because there's only 4 you can have. So I broke every British record and 2 out of the 4 world records. One of the world records still stands today, which is the bench.
Brilliant. How much was that?
192.5 kilos, 89 kilos body weight.
Yeah, excellent, mate. Excellent. So you've done the bodybuilding, you've done the powerlifting. Which one do you enjoy the most?
I'd say I'm always a bodybuilder at heart. From a kid, I love the powerlifting. I love the buzz of the day of powerlifting, if I'm honest. I'd say the day of powerlifting is more enjoyable than the day of bodybuilding because you perform on the day and it's like, that's where it's all at. I'd say the process of bodybuilding, it's just because of how hard it is and the amount of mental... it's so hard mentally that because you do it and you complete it, it gives me a sense of achievement. So I'd say the bodybuilding, I do love more the process of bodybuilding, and I'm a bodybuilder at heart. But I'd say the day of powerlifting at the actual competition is probably a little more fun.
Which one's tougher then?
In terms of the overall process, bodybuilding by a country mile. Sorry to upset all you powerlifters out there, but bodybuilding is 10 times harder than competing in powerlifting. I don't care what anybody says.
So how do you structure your training then? You've got, obviously, you're incorporating bodybuilding, you're also incorporating powerlifting. Did you have, set cycles depending on, what comp was coming up next? Or do you just kind of do a hybrid of the two styles?
I'd say generally I do a hybrid of the two styles. So I call it power building. Even when I was doing powerlifting, I'd never fully train on a powerlifting routine. If I'm honest, I find out and out powerlifting training a little bit boring. So what I would do, I'd mix the two to make it a little more exciting because I like training quite fast and getting a pump. So what I'd do, say if it was deadlift day, I'd do my deadlifts in a powerlifting sort of manner, 1 to 4 reps. Okay, and then just do like a bodybuilding pull workout afterwards, some pull-ups, some rows, some seated rows, some hamstring curls, whatever. So I would do like a hybrid routine where I'd do like a general bodybuilding split, but do the appropriate power lift at the start of the appropriate workout. So squats at the start of leg day, bench at the start of chest day, and deadlifts at the start of pull day.
Yeah, I love it, mate. Makes sense. So this is something I'm interested in. You obviously combine competing with, running a very successful business, and you're doing both at an incredibly high level. And you're doing it with pretty much year-round condition. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen you out of shape in 20 years. I was speaking that before, won't we? Very, very few times were you ever out of shape, mate. So what's your approach to kind of balancing running a business and the stresses that go alongside that, tiredness, stress, all the rest of it, with actually staying in shape year-round? Because, a lot of people will use, I'm running a business, I'm tired, I'm working too much, as an excuse not
I'm hearing excuses. That's all I'm hearing there. I'm just hearing excuses because we've all got choices every day. It's like, I choose to stay in shape. It's a choice. So I can either choose to eat a bacon sandwich because I'm stressed and I'm tired, or I can choose to have porridge, protein powder, and some blueberries. It's a simple, being in shape is a choice. It's about the habits you take every day, making that choice to get out of bed and train, making that choice to get your meals ready, making that choice to learn about nutrition and understand that what you eat is going to affect how you look, So I don't actually think it's that hard to stay in shape if you make the right choices. But that's all it is everybody wants to make choice. Everyone's got that choice to either make a good choice or a bad choice.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. And the connection between being in great shape and staying in shape year round and running a successful business, like how much of a correlation is there between the two?
I'd say it massively helps my business because I feel energized, I'm in shape, I'm eating good, healthy foods. I'd never, ever struggle to get out of bed. It's like, I'm that guy, annoyingly, who get up half an hour before my alarm. Like this morning, my alarm went off at 5:06. I was up at 10 to 5 doing some work. It's like, I never struggle to get out of bed. I always feel pretty much fully energized, it's like, so I think staying in shape, and it's not the staying in shape, it's what comes with staying in shape, which is the exercise and the healthy eating and the hydration, not drinking too often. That is what makes you feel good. Obviously staying in shape and looking good is the bonus of that. But, if you look after your health, if you eat well and you exercise, you're going to feel good. And if you're feeling good, you're going to give everyone a better version of yourself.
100%, mate, 100%. So if you talk about like nutrition there, anyone that follows you on social media, that there's obviously the training, the meal prep, the working with new clients and traveling and all this sort of stuff. But they're also going to see like a few cocktails and a few off-planned meals as well.
Love a cheeky cocktail, Stuart.
Yeah, mate, I know you do. So what does the real nutrition plan look like for you? Like how do you, how much time do you allow yourself to be having a cocktail and having a meal out and stuff like that? And how much time are you really dialed in with that regiment and routine around your nutrition?
It's pretty simple, right? Okay, so let's say you've got 7 days in a week. Okay, so if I know I'm going out on Saturday, right? It's like, if I know everything has been 100% perfect from Monday through to Friday or through to Saturday lunchtime, if I have steak, chips, and 4 or 5 cocktails on a Saturday, once everything else has been good through the week, that steak, chips, and cocktails ain't going to make no difference. Where most people go wrong, they're not being good enough on a Tuesday, they're not training hard enough on a Wednesday, they're having an extra chocolate bar on a Thursday, and then they blame the weekends. It's like, nah, if you're good enough, 80-90% of the time, then that 10 or 15% where you're having a cocktail, you're having a nice burger or whatever, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference once all the other variables have been met. And that's where people go wrong. They're not meeting these variables. You meet these variables here, then that other 10 or 15% of the time, you can have a bit of what you want and it's not going to make a blind bit of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So switching gears a little bit, obviously rewind a couple of years, mate, to obviously the most terrible period of your life when you did lose Jem, 39-year-old, to cancer.
Yeah.
Obviously we knew Jem, as long as we've known you, really, 20 odd years. And
Stu's known me and Jem both the same amount of time. 20 years, yeah.
And,
we all met each other together.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, amazing. She was, never not smiling. She's hilarious.
Well, that's why we were so good together, because if you see me, I'm always full of energy and having a laugh. And Jem was exactly the same. She was like full of energy. She was like the funniest girl you'd ever met. You know, she just never really had a bad word to say about people, and always was full of good energy.
You know, you guys campaigned for full body scans after getting all clear, because obviously what happened to Jem, she got the all clear. They didn't give her the full body scan. They missed other cancer.
So what happened is, they scanned her here where the original cancer was, okay, and she got the all clear, okay, so, but the new cancer, the secondary cancer, was in her spine, okay, so we said all along, right, if you'd have given her a full body scan, you'd have found that cancer in her spine probably 6 months earlier, caught it a lot sooner. It would have still been terminal, but when you caught it, the tumor might have been this big instead of this big, and that could have meant I could have had another 2-3 years of her here with me on Earth, So I think that we did a campaign of full body scans. I think it got 200,000 signatures. And I'm going to tell a little story here, right? The very last thing that Jem, I spoke to her about when she was in the hospice on the day she died, the campaign hit 100,000 on the day she died, and she was in and out of consciousness at this point. And it came through that it got 100,000, and the very last thing she knew when she was awake, I grabbed her and said, Jem. And she woke up. This was the very last time she was awake. I said, you've done it. I said, you've made a difference. So getting to 100,000 meant something, you know what I mean? So it meant that she'd made a difference with what she'd done. So that was the last moment she was actually awake.
Yeah. And to have like you say, the feeling of injustice that if she had got that scan, and hopefully other people will benefit from the work that she did, but unfortunately she didn't. And that feeling of injustice that potentially you could have had another couple of years, you could have made, you could have caught it in time. How do you not fall into a victim mindset and feel, how do you not fall into a victim mindset and crumble, in that situation?
It's a good question, Stu. So 2 things. One, watching how strong Jem was throughout such a horrible ordeal. It's like, that was the main thing. It's like, that gave me strength, okay? And then just knowing that if you let it beat you. So I'm going to tell another thing here. This is I have to try and say this without getting upset. So before Jem died, and I think this is probably the biggest thing for the question you're asking, Jem said, the cancer has killed me. Don't let it kill you as well. So what she meant was that if I let it beat me and get depressed and let it ruin my life, then Jem's cancer's actually killed me as well. So that's what she said. She said, don't let the cancer kill you as well, which is what she meant by that. If I'd have spiraled into depression and who knows where, then that illness has killed both of us. So that was what she said to me. And those words have stuck with me ever since. That that's why I couldn't let it beat me. I'd be letting her down if I did.
And suppose you can have the moments when you do feel down and you do feel really sorry for yourself for what you've gone through and what's happened to Jem and that. But I suppose hearing her voice say that pulls you straight back out there.
All the time, yeah. And like I say, but you allow yourself a day. So what I'd say is, if you are really going through something bad and you do feel really upset about something, there's nothing wrong with feeling bad for a day and feeling upset. I would let myself have that day. I'm going to be like, you know what? Today I'm just going to turn my phone off. I'm going to sit with my cat. I'm going to look at old pictures of Jem and I'm going to feel sorry for myself and I'm going to feel shit. But you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to get out of bed. I'm going to go to the gym and do a fucking workout and I'm going to flip it and I'm going to feel good tomorrow. I'm going to allow myself that one day, but I'm not going to let one bad day turn into 2 bad days. And that's the secret.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said the first thing you do is you get out of bed and go for a workout. How important was your training through that period to get you through it? Because it's not just about the way that you look, it's about the mental health as well, right?
So training at that point was so important. So that's what I'd do. If I had one of those bad days when I was feeling really sad and I was really missing her, I'd let myself have that day, like I say, but I'd be like, right, in the morning, I'm going to go train. And I'd get up and I'd go train. And what it is, it's like, no matter how shit you feel, no matter what you're going up on here, right? If you're squatting 240 kilos, all that goes out of your head because you got to squat 240 kilos. It's like you got to focus on what you're doing. So it clears your mind, and then your mind feels clear. You're then doing something productive. You feel good about yourself afterwards. And it kind of, whenever I'd feel myself slipping, I'd do a workout and it'd get me out of it.
People talk about, don't they, about it being their meditation. Not everyone sits there and closes their eyes and meditates. But actually training is what it's for as well. It clears the mind.
Massively for me, mate. Like through that bad time, when Jen was still here in the hospice, it really helped me through that phase. It kept me strong for her. And then after she died, it was just so important. I didn't let my regime slip. I stuck to my diet. It's like being on my diet, sticking to my diet and training really hard keeps this straight. And it massively helped me staying on my regime, as I call it. It massively helped me get through that bad period. Okay, so I'd say to anyone, if you're going through a bad time, find something to focus on. Whether it's exercise or running a marathon or something like that. It just, again, it gives you that goal. When you've got a goal, it just keeps your mind busy.
Yeah, control what you can control. Because there's obviously, you can't do anything about the cancer, you can't do anything about the situation with Jem, but you can control how you look after yourself, how you show up every day. You're in control of that.
Control the controllables. One of my favourite sayings, Stu. You know what I mean? It's one of my favourite sayings. So you control it. I can't control the cancer. I can't control this. COVID was happening at the time. I can't control that. But you know what I can control? I can control doing my 5 workouts a week, and I can control eating my 6 meals a day. And doing them 5 workouts and eating those 6 meals a day keeps my head straight. And that was the biggest thing that helped me in that time.
Really pleased to announce that this podcast is now also brought to you by CNP. I'm only ever going to collaborate with companies that I genuinely believe in, which is why I'm so excited to be joining forces with CNP on the Mr. Universe Meets podcast. I've been using CNP products since I first started training. I started back in the day on their ProMass, and the CNP Whey and ProPeptide were a staple in every single off-season and prep phase I did, including the Mr. World and Mr. Universe wins. Not forgetting, of course, my favourite product of theirs, the Pro Recover, which has been my go-to post-workout shake for the best part of 20 years. 4 scoops after every workout still to this day. They are a brand that has stood the test of time and have been a constant through my bodybuilding career, and a brand we've always stocked over the last 18 years of owning my own gyms. They are also one of the only brands you'll see giving back to the bodybuilding scene by sponsoring shows, giving away prizes, and actively trying to make things better for competitors. So I'm really proud that my podcast is now associated with the very best in the business. You can go to the CNP Instagram and check out their products and offers. The link will be below this podcast.
So we spoke about like the biggest lesson that you learned after Jem passing, and I think I seen you on your social media. Actually, you were doing a thing where you were taking a day off a week to do golf, and she'd said not to be working as much and stuff like that, and going down avenues that you maybe wouldn't have thought.
Tried skiing, golf. Yeah, it's just remembering all those things. She taught me so much about just to live a bit more, because people like us, Stu, I know you're the same as me, we're always obsessed with being better and more successful and, whatever it may be. And it's like just remembering to live a little bit as well. So booking those holidays, taking up that new hobby, picking up the phone to speak to your friend or something. Not being, because I get quite obsessed with work and being successful. I'm sure you're the same. And sometimes I ain't spoke to my friend for 2 months. I ain't been and done something. So it's like, Jem just used to say, don't be so obsessed with work that you don't have a life. So that's one good thing I've learned off Jem.
It's funny, mate. I was literally writing the word obsessed just before you said that, because I think that to become great at anything and to excel at anything, you've got to become obsessed with it. So if you want to be the best in your business and make that the best it can be, you've got to get obsessed with it. If you want to become the best bodybuilding, you've got to become obsessed with it. But at some point, you do lose. It's easy to lose focus of the things that really matter in life.
Yeah, so, and that's it. And I'm sure Verity's had the same chat with you. Jem just said to me, I know you want to be successful. I know you want to be this. I know you want to be that. But just remember to make time for your friends. Make time for yourself. It is important because, again, like we said before, who knows what's going to happen in 6 months' time? And it's like, you want to make sure that if we do live a long, healthy life, at say 70, 80, whatever it is, when we're in that hospice bed, that you don't just go, fuck, all I've done is work and been obsessed. I've not actually seen enough of my friends. I didn't make time for my missus. I didn't make time for kids or whatever it may be. So it's like, listen, we all want to work hard. We all want to be successful, especially people like us who are very driven. But it's just making that little bit of time to have a bit of fun, see your friends, and just live a little as well.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because we do get so obsessed with, you know, not always with chasing money, but just like the thought of building the business and growing the business and all this sort of stuff, or really going in our physique. But the best things are actually free. You know, spending that time with loved ones and having a good laugh with friends and stuff like this, and you know, just getting out walking in the countryside and just having a bit of a chill and just relaxing, and it's all the good stuff's free. Yet we spend all our life trying to the majority of our life trying to just chase for what, so you can pay
I
bills.
think it's just now and again just stopping and going, right, okay. And so what I've been doing, simply from Jem's instructions, not working on weekends. I might still do a bit of work, but, you know, like cutting back working on weekends. I now take Fridays off pretty much. That's why I'm here on a Friday. And it's just, these are all things that have come from Jem, you know, like making more time for myself, seeing a friend. I've even joined a commercial spa gym. So I can go to the spa once a week and sit and have a sauna and read a book. You know, these are things that I'd have never done in a million years before. You know, so I think the lessons I got from Jem are to make time, you know, for yourself, make time for other people, don't sweat the small stuff, and just live life to the absolute max.
We say like you've got, you know, making a bit more time for yourself, but don't you think in the long run that actually benefits you when you're in work and benefits you when you're training? Because you can just, it's easy to run yourself into the ground and just become really, really tired.
Yeah, we've all done that. And I think that's the great point, Stu, because if you look after yourself, it's a bit like I was saying, if you're eating healthy, if you're exercising, you know, if you're having Fridays off to go to the spa, everybody gets a better version of you. You know what I mean? So it's like the better you are, what's the saying, you know, you fill your own cup first, then you're full, you can give more to other people. So by having a day off here and there, but you know, you actually give more effort to your missus, you'll give more effort to your kids, you'll be better for your clients. So it's like sometimes working less, you know, will actually make you more successful.
So I was what happened to her, like change your outlook on life?
Yeah, so obviously when Jem was dying, she wrote like a bucket list and of things she wanted to go and things she wanted to do. And the lessons I learned from Jem was that one minute you can be here and the next minute this can happen, because when Jem found out she had cancer, she was in the best shape of her life and she was at stage 3 cancer. She didn't know she had it, you know, and it's like, we were in Miami at the time, you know, and it's like, you know, it just shows you that your life can change on a sixpence. So we all worry about things that are not really important, you know, or how many likes have I had on this picture, you know, or does this look good? Does that look good? And what's that person think? It's like, none of that shit fucking matters, because at the end of the day, right, you know, this could happen to anyone tomorrow. So what I would say to people is you need to live in the moment, live in the day, you know, just get rid of any negative people in your life, you know, spend more time around those people that make you feel good, and just, you know, live for the moment a bit more, you know, like, so I think one of the things I really learned from Jem dying was, you know, don't wait till next year. Don't put it off till the year after. So there was a few months after Jem died, it was my birthday, 2021. So it was about 6 months after Jem died. And everybody who knows me knows I love American football and I love America. It's my favorite place to go. So anyway, it's about 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl's in Los Angeles, which is my favorite holiday destination. It's on my birthday, right? And I'm sat there and I'm thinking, ooh. And I looked at the ticket prices, and I don't mind saying the tickets were £5,000, right? And I was like, obviously, before all this happened, I'd never spent £5,000 on a sports ticket. That's just ludicrous. But I sat there and I thought, what would Jem think? What would Jem say? Or if I'm on my deathbed at some point later in my life, would I regret not going? You know what I mean? It's like I can always make that money back, you know, if I work hard enough, and I'm never not going to work hard enough. So I was like, you know what, right? Fuck it, I'm going to go. I bought a ticket, I bought the flight, and I bought the hotel about 10 days before the Super Bowl, and I just flew to the Super Bowl and had the best day of my life.
Well, the same again this year, wasn't it? I saw you post on the Super Bowl this year as well, wasn't it? I saw you there in your, you know, your short shorts and your stars and stripe vest and your cowboy hat, and you know, just blending in as you always do. And that's it. That was the message on the post. Like, if you want to do something, Do it now. Don't
Just
wait.
go for it.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed, right?
Yeah. You might not be here next year. If you've got a thought that you want to do something or go for it, whether it's a new business, you want to start a diet, you want to ask someone on a date, don't put it off. Anything could happen. You could get run over tomorrow. You just got to go for it right now, this minute.
I think people think that they've got more time than what they actually have, and so they're not really in a hurry to kind of do anything or achieve anything. Then they've got all the time in the world. I don't know if you've ever seen the Memento Mori calendars.
I've not seen it.
It's a stoic life calendar. Essentially, it's like 52 dots across the top, which represents a week of each of the year, and then you've got 80 down. And every time you've had a week, you cross it off. So you can literally see this calendar colouring in, and which sounds quite depressing to realise how much of your life you've actually got left if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But it also spur you into action. It's quite powerful thinking that time's gone. This is at best, this is what I've got left, and to go on and actually do things and not wait and not wait for the perfect time, right? Because
there never is the perfect time. It's like people who want to compete. They always go, I'll wait till after so-and-so's birthday. I'll wait till after that wedding. I'll wait till my calves are bare. It's like, listen, you're going to be waiting forever, pal. Just fucking go for it right now. You know what I mean? People always want to put it off for the perfect time. There never is going to be a perfect time. You just got to go for it this minute. I think that's the take-home message that I got from this whole situation is life is very short. Okay, when you look down at your partner and she died in my arms, and it's like you look down and you're like, well, this is real. This is real life. That's going to be me one day. That's going to be you one day. So you've got to make the most of every minute. And it baffles me now. I look at people and I think people are in jobs they don't like. They do stuff. They have boring lives. The highlight of their life is watching Coronation Street. They don't go on any holidays or whatever. It's like, fuck that, man. I want to be successful as possible. I want to look as good as possible. I want to be as strong as possible. I want to go on as many holidays as possible. So when I get to that point, when I'm in the hospice bed, like where Jen was, I can sit there and look back and go, you know what? Right, I've done a fucking fair bit here. I've done as much as I can.
No regrets.
No regrets. That's what life's all about.
What's on the bucket list for you to do then? Have you got like anything planned in the future that you want to particularly do? Obviously, you tick the Super Bowl off there, but
Super Bowl was number one on my bucket list. So on my bucket list, the other thing, I've done everything else. To be fair, I've been to Miami, I've been to New York, I've been to Vegas. Everything that was on my list, I've done it. So I'd say that the thing on my bucket list that I've not done, I'd love to go to Japan and climb Mount Fuji.
All right.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that's on my bucket list that I've not done.
Okay, so that's next for you then.
Possibly, yeah,
definitely, mate. So what are the other goals going forward? Obviously, you got with your business, you're going back to competing. You retired from bodybuilding, and then injury allowing, you want to be back on the bodybuilding stage next?
So I'm currently in a prep for a bodybuilding show, and I'd entered a show. It's actually 5 weeks on Sunday. I'm in the best shape of my life at 44 years old. I thought I'd have a bash at it again because, it was the no regrets thing. So what it was, because I stay in such good shape all the time, people keep saying to me, why did you do a show? Why did you do a show? And I'm not doing it to please other people, but it's because, well, if I'm in this good shape now, in my 40s, I'm not going to look like this forever. So I thought, imagine in 20 years' time, if I look back, could have competed, could have won Mr. Universe, but didn't. I'm like, well, that's stupid. I might as well fucking go for it. It's only 8 weeks of my life. So that was kind of the thinking, really. Yeah. Again, the no regrets. I didn't want to have any regrets.
Yeah. And I suppose for you, not as hard as potentially other people because you stay in that year-round shape as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing because, I'd say the easiest way to lose fat is to not get fat in the first place. So that's the thing. So I stay quite lean. So my diet phase, I only had about 4 or 5 kilos to lose, which is 10 pounds. So it's not that much. So it means you can go steady away, bit of high-carb days here and there to make the process a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. So if the injury doesn't allow you to do it, is that something you'll do next season or?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I think it's just, yourself with bodybuilding, your head's got to be in the right spot. So this moment in time, my head was in the right place to go for it. I was in the game, I'm locked in, I'm really focused. And I'm like, whether I can get that back again or not, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. So, I'll always train. I'll always stay in shape. I'm always going to eat healthy because there's so many positives to be had from that. But whether if I don't compete, whether I go back to it later this year or next year, I'll make that decision down the road.
Yeah. So how do you structure your week? You say you have your Fridays off, you don't work weekends and stuff like that. Are you quite regimented when it comes to like the time you get up, the time you go to bed, all this sort of stuff, a cut-off point from work and what have you on a night?
That's a good question, Stu. So every day I'm up 5:30, 6 o'clock. First thing I do, bowl of porridge, 6 o'clock every morning. I've done that for 20 years. I'm like a robot. I have my clothes ready. I'd get them ready the night before. I have a very particular night and morning routine. It's the same every single day. So alarm goes off about 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, up straight away, breakfast, up and about, straight to the gym, train my first client. I love the mornings. I'm a morning person. Every day, what I do on an evening, I like to be off my phone by 8:30, 9 o'clock, flight mode. Phone goes on flight mode. Everybody knows if you get in touch with me at a certain time, it'll go to 1 bar. I'll get back to you in the morning. I think you've got to be strict with these things because your phone, especially now, with online clients, you can be on your phone all the time. So you've got to have cut-off points. You've got to have boundaries and you've got to, make sure, right, I'm going to be off my phone by this time. I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to sit. I just sit and watch a bit of YouTube for an hour every night. Some podcast or whatever it may be, a bit of football or something. And I like to have that wind down time. Phone goes off 8:30, 9 o'clock every night, 9 o'clock at the latest. And it's an hour, bit of TV. I have my last meal at 10 o'clock. I like to be asleep by 10:15, then again up at 5:30. It's like, I think if you get hold of your nighttime routines and your morning routines and your body's in a very, strict pattern, then you're just going to feel more energized.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say obviously you go off to the spa and stuff like that. Do you what's your kind of focus on recovery? Do you have do the ice baths and all this sort of stuff? Or
I'm a bit funny when it comes to ice baths, Stu, if I'm honest. I got in one once and I fucking screamed like a girl and got out again.
Well, like the massages and chiropractic, all the stuff like that. Do you do anything?
Not really, no. So it's funny because I've had a couple of big injuries, but I don't ever get any aches or pains in my body. So I like to go to the spa once a week. I like to get a sauna and a steam every single week. I think just being eating healthy, looking after yourself and exercising. I like to go out and walk once or twice a week in the countryside, getting a bit of fresh air and a bit of sunlight. I think those things are really good for you.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to stuff that's free.
Stuff that's free, yeah.
So obviously, when you talk about setting goals and setting challenges for yourself, what is your goal setting process? Do you have a sort of a regimented routine around setting goals? Do you visit them every 3 months, or yearly goals, or how do you work it?
I have various ways of doing this. I like to set yearly and monthly goals. So you'll have a goals for the year and say, right, I want to achieve this, 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 and this. But then you've got to break it down. Okay, to achieve that goal here, okay, you've got to complete certain things over time. So it's a bit like someone getting in shape. For them to get in shape, they have to complete X, Y, and Z each day or each week up until that point to get in shape. So I'll set various goals. It'll be certain ones will be training goals, certain ones will be business goals, certain ones will be monetary goals, certain ones might be, I want X amount of holidays this year, I want to buy a new car. And the thing with a new car or something like that, it's not even about the new car, it's about achieving the goal of the new car. The goals, a bit like you were saying about bodybuilding, the goal to work hard to earn the money is more important than the actual car. I like the game of goal setting because I like something on a morning that makes me want to jump out of bed and achieve that goal. So that's what goal setting is all about. It's going, I've set my mind to this. I don't like failing. Okay, so I'm going to do everything I can every single day until I achieve that goal. It's like the journey of getting the goal is actually more important than the actual goal, because I think it's having a goal every day is what keeps us alive.
Gives that purpose.
Gives you the purpose, yeah. Makes you feel alive every day.
Yeah. And it's interesting you talked about becoming a game with it. Don't you think that a lot of successful people do that? They gamify these things, whether it be bodybuilding, whether it be business, whatever it is, and actually make it into a game for something to chase.
It's something to chase, yeah. It's like I know people, like one of my friends is really rich. I mean, he's always chasing more money, and he doesn't need it. It's just the fact that he likes the game of how to make more money, likes the process. Yeah. So I think, like I said before, it's like, each to their own, but sometimes I look at some people and they have just like boring lives. They get up every day, to do a job they don't like. The highlight of the week is having a pint of bitter on a Friday night at the pub. And I'm like, man, there's so much more to life than that. Where's your goals? Where's your passion? What makes you jump out of bed on a morning? It's like these people, it's like they must be half dead inside at 25, 30 years old because they've got no goals in life.
It's funny, we had Dorian on, obviously, a couple of episodes ago, and he said exactly the same thing. He would just look at some people's lives and go, there has got to be more to life than this mundane routine that you're in.
Yeah.
And like I said, that pushed him on to do great things. Yeah, absolutely, mate. So cool. So look, biggest lesson that you can take from your years of training and competing? I know we've spoken about lessons from other areas of that, but the biggest lessons that you take from training and competing that carry over into everyday life?
It's definitely the discipline aspect. So if you're disciplined enough to eat 6 meals a day, to train 5 days a week, to get up and do your cardio, that discipline is going to filter over into every other aspect of your life. You're going to be a better human being. You're going to be better at work. You're going to be more efficient at work. You're going to be just more functional in all around daily life because of all the discipline and energy that you get from sticking to that routine.
Yeah. And I suppose if you could go back to day one and do it all again, first day walking into a gym, what would you do differently?
Well, good question, Stu. Well, because I've had a couple of injuries, right? I'd say the one thing I'd do differently is whenever I get really lean, don't train quite as hard, because the injuries I get always seem to be when body fat gets real low and I still want to train just as hard. Okay, so what I'd say to myself is leave 1 or 2 in the tank on any higher risk exercises when your body fat gets really, really low. That's the only thing I'd change.
I'd switch that intensity off though when you're training.
That's the thing. My mind is like, you know me, I love to train hard. So to stop 1 short or 2 short is not really in my nature. So that's a very hard thing to switch off. But that is the one thing I would change. It's just that mindset. When I get really lean, you don't need to do that one more. Because when you're prepping for a show, it's about maintenance rather than building. So I suppose when you're getting like that 8-week out period and your body fat's getting well under, 7, 8, 6, 7%, just back off a little bit.
Cool. So what's next for Ricky Moore then? You've got the Ricky Moore on tour.
Yeah, the Ricky Moore on tour video series. Just same old, really. I'm just training hard every day, working with my clients, trying to help as many people as possible, try to spread my knowledge, spread my positivity around, and just all the lessons that I've learned in life. Through my upbringing, through all the bodybuilding, through everything that I've been through with Gem, I feel like I've got a lot to offer people. So I like to feel like I can share my knowledge and share my positivity and mindset and really help as many people out there as possible.
Brilliant, mate. Well, look, that's all I've got for you, mate. I mean, it's some great answers there, mate. Really appreciate you coming down and doing the podcast, pal. I hope that the bicep or pec injury gets better, get the all clear on Tuesday.
Fingers crossed,
yeah, mate. And then we'll see him potentially back on stage in 5 weeks if
Hopefully.
It's all good. So, all right, cheers, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much,
mate. Cheers, pal.
Mate. Thanks so much for listening. Please remember to like, share and subscribe. And if you need any more information on the Mansformation programme, just hit the link below.